Good evening. It's In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. My name is Ross Brierley. It's Monday night. Cheltenham is a mere 2 and a bit weeks away, and it's all starting to fall into place. But we've still got plenty of races to preview on our Monday night preview show. A little bit to look back on from the weekend, not too much, because, like I said, all the main players have pretty much lined up in their respective prep races and are ready and raring to go for the 4 days of the festival. Tonight, we're going to be covering 4 races for you. We're going to be having a look at the Baring Bingham, the 2 mile 5 furlong, of course, Novice Hurdle. We're going to be having a look at the Turners as well. We'll be getting stuck into the Mayor's Chase and also the big one, the Cheltenham Gold Cup. That'll be coming up on tonight's show. We'll also be joined once again by Paul Kealy and Tom Segal. But before we get stuck into that, our representative from Coral this evening, David Stevens, is going to appear on your screen like this and give you some red-hot, tasty offers. Bang. There he is.
Good evening, Ross. Thank you very much. Yes, you mentioned the 4 races we're going to take a look at in depth as we go through. But if any of these tickle your fancy, they're all on the website. In the Baring Bingham, any trainer other than Willie Mullins, we'll hear from the chaps, see if they think that's possible. That was 5-4. That is now 7-4. In the Turners, this is a race that surely the Brits are going to keep at home. Dan Skelton or Paul Nicholls to train the winner of the Turners is 5-4 from 4-5. The Mayor's Chase, the hot favourite is Dina Blue. Dina Blue to win by over 4 lengths is 3-1 from 5-2. And in the big one, the reigning champ, Galopanda Sham, 7 lengths back to the second last year. This year, it's can he win it by 4 lengths or more is 5-2 from 2-1. As I say, we'll hear from the chaps, see what they think as we look at them a bit later.
Thanks, David. An absolute pleasure as always. Hello to Kevin Hasnip, to Mike Boy, to Alan Keane, to Cheese. Good evening to you, Duncan Evans. Everybody in position from the get-go, and Tom Segal logged into his Skype. Okay. You bet your bottom dollar, Duncan. And also hello to David Probert, who apparently is on the chat. Is he? He's not riding tonight, is he? Is he in Wolverhampton races? I don't know. Hello to Genghis26 and Tom Leach, who says hi, Dross and Keels. I think you'll find it's Dr. Ross to you, Tom. A little bit of respect, thank you very much. But before we get the panel involved, we've got it with Joe Chambers, racing manager, of course, to Rich Ritchie, ahead of the several fantastic chances they have at the festival. So this was from about an hour and a half ago, and here's what he had to say. As we continue our Cheltenham previews then, a lot of people talking about the dominance of Willie Mullins at Cheltenham, of course, and whether it's good or bad for racing, but it's certainly very good if you own plenty of horses with the top trainer. So delighted to be joined by Joe Chambers, racing manager to Rich Ritchie's racing manager, which is easier to write down than it is to say out loud. Yeah, Joe, obviously exciting times for plenty of trainers, plenty of owners as well. But what? We're only a matter of weeks away. Are you starting to get excited, or are you starting to get nervous? How are you feeling?
Hoping the phone doesn't ring, because it's never a good call at this time of year. It's either bad news or there's something for sale in France, because Auteuil has started up. So either way, it's going to be an expensive one. But no, looking forward to it. Probably have a team of somewhere between 8 and 10 horses over the 4 days. And there's probably one obvious chance and a few others that I think Rich and I have been saying we're not embarrassed putting them on the boat, but whether they embarrass us while they're there, it's a different conversation.
Okay, so we've got plenty of chance. Like you said, it's you don't want a phone call at this time of the season, do you?
Definitely not one at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, no
which
news.
Which I haven't had anyway before Twitter goes mad.
Okay, well, touch wood down here then. No news is good news at the moment. So let's just assume everything is going to plan, and we'll go through the entries according to what the market suggests is your best chance. Starting off, of course, with Lossiemouth, who, obviously last year she was hugely impressive. I think it would be fairly safe to argue, Joe, that quite frankly she should be unbeaten so far, and it was a cracking return last time out. She barely came out of second gear.
Yeah, she looked good, and she's matured. I think Willie himself has been adamant for the last couple of years that if you give juveniles a bit more time at the back end of their 4-year-old season, you should get repaid down the line. And we probably learned it with Vauban. While we tried last year to wait until Christmas, we probably should have waited a bit longer. And I think with Lossiemouth, we waited for as long as we could, and with the aim that this year at least, the Mayor's Hurdle and onto Punchestown and Touchwood all being well, we'll go to France for the Champion Hurdle over there, which we were lucky enough to win with Benny Didio a few years ago. Being our main aim, and we can always have a crack at 2 miles next year and see what happens then. But look, we were delighted with her at Cheltenham, and Paul was very happy with her. She relaxed an awful lot more than she did last year, and I was probably the most nervous about stamina and her getting the trip. But there doesn't appear to be any doubts in the mind of those that are with it, that are around her every day. So take a lot of confidence from that, and also take a good bit of confidence as to how she raced and went through the race at Cheltenham a few weeks ago as well. And her turn of foot we know is there. Her hurdling seemed to be very sharp, and very, very excited and looking forward to her. She's obviously, don't need me to tell you this, but by a long way she's our best chance of a winner for the week. It could be a long week if she gets beat on the Tuesday.
Okay, so Lossiemouth then for the Mayor's Hurdle, and Allegory of Assi for the Mayor's Chase as well. She obviously was just touched off last year. She seems to have, again, she's another one who seems to have matured and grown up from what she's shown this season.
Yes and no. She was good first time out. She was positively disastrous at Fairyhouse, and back to 2 miles, she was pretty good the last day again at Naas. So, look, she always throws a few wahoo leaps in around there. She's ordinarily a good jumper, but she does appear to be fairly temperamental. Whether she fully gets the trip or not, I don't know. I know herself and Impervious pulled away last year from the rest of the field, but I think that might have been due to the opposition rather than stamina. I'm not convinced she gets the trip, but the race is there. It's at Cheltenham. You have to try it. I'd love to see her on good ground, back around 2 miles, and she'd travel through that. But if it was good ground on Gold Cup day, she'd have her squeak again. I think JP obviously has the strongest hand in this race between Dino Blue, Limerick Lace, to name 2 of them. So I don't know. I would have thought that from a punting point of view, even though Lossie is the shorter price, she'd be a much safer conveyance or more reliable conveyance than Allegory.
Okay, and then let's go on to the incredibly talented enigma that is Gaelic Warrior. Of course, 2 festival runs back to back. He's finished second in both, of course. And I mean, the thing with the Novice Chasers this year, Joe, is that there's a lot of them. They all seem to have the cruising speed for 2 miles and the stamina for further as well. Are you any closer to knowing what Gaelic Warrior's best conditions are?
Right-handed for starters.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we'll get in touch, see if they can reconfigure the track.
It probably doesn't matter what trip then. I haven't got a clue. Look, he Touchwood, as long as he's sound, he's going to travel. But there's a grade 1 at Fairyhouse over 2.5 miles for him, and then there's a grade 1 at Punchestown over 2 and 3 miles for him. But Richard says, "I want runners at Cheltenham," and that's where he's going to go as long as he's fit and well. Absolutely no idea what trip you would run him over at Cheltenham. I think just reading between the lines that Factifile is going to go to 3 miler. I'm assuming that pushes Embassy Gardens into the 3 mile 5 race, and then we'll probably try and split Elite Tom, Facile Vega, Gaelic Warrior, and Sharjah, and anything else up between the 2 and the 2 mile 5 race. So I don't have a strong opinion on it. He could come out and win well. He could come and blow out. I genuinely have no idea what to do with him from a Cheltenham perspective.
It's fine. I mean, it's helpful in a weird way, because it means that while we're all sat watching him on the telly or watching him in the flesh at the track, that you're also none the wiser with him as well. So we're all trying to work out what his best conditions are. I mean, it might, like you said, it might come to light that if Factifile goes to the 3 miler and wins impressively, that in hindsight he got beaten by a really strong stayer and a talented horse. Sure,
absolutely. And maybe he didn't stay either as well, but I thought he was beaten a long way out. expectation versus reality were fairly poles apart that day. But let's see what happens. And I don't think we have a strong view as to where he might run either. I think we'll just leave all that to Willie, keep the head down, and be told what's happening.
Okay, and we'll try and cover as many of your other entries as we can, because we don't want to keep you too long. But just a quick word for Monkfish, of course, who is a horse. I guess there's an element of what could have been with Monkfish after his problems, but he looked almost back to his best last time out at Goran. How's he come on since then? And are we stayers hurdle bound?
Touch wood, he's been absolutely fine since. We spoke immediately after it, and the stairs hurdle was the general consensus and thinking. But it's whether it's just Willie thinking out loud or just trying to keep all his options open, because I don't think he fully appreciated that his only other entry in the Gold Cup, other than Galopin de Champs, was Monkfish either at the same time around the stairs hurdle day. But yeah, the way we look at it is the fact that he's even considering or talking about the Gold Cup with him is a positive as to what his well-being is, and it just says that he's in good form, which is encouraging. I suspect that'll be a decision that'll be made on the Monday night, Tuesday morning at Cheltenham. But it would be a massive ask, I think, to go to the Gold Cup some 3+ years before he last jumped the fence in public. Willie's achieved a fair few things in his time. That would be up there. The stairs hurdle obviously looks a far more open race, and has horses that are similarly aged around his age group, as opposed to 6 and 7-year-olds coming up that are more up and coming. So our working assumption after the Galmoy was the stairs hurdle. It will probably take something from Willie to convince us otherwise, but he is making positive noises about him in that regard.
Okay, and as for your other runners, Sharjah loves a run at the festival. You've got Bialystok as well, who was travelling ominously well.
Sharjah's a knock on the assumption Sharjah goes for the Arkle. He's a knocking bet at 50 to 1.
Okay,
He only 4 or 5 runners. He loves the track, and he wasn't that far behind the rest of them at Leopardstown on ground softer than ideal for him. So I think I'd really like to be putting up something that's a 4 or 5-year-old that's up and coming, as opposed to an old reliable. But I could see him running a massive race in the Arkle, and if it's a small field, you never know. He could just run into the places again. But he's been an absolute Trojan for us, and has he's touch wood, he's been fairly sound throughout his career. I think he missed one spring festival, but he's brought us to most of the big dances along the way that he could have brought us to as well. And he and Patrick obviously had that great relationship over hurdles for a few years.
And Bialystok was the other one mentioned, who was in the county hurdle, and he was swinging along at Leopardstown. Did that one sting? And will he come back for a crack at Cheltenham?
Yeah, the plan is to go to the county, and I think he's a horse that he's gotten a lot stronger since the Royal Bond, where he probably ran better than the bare form, just given how that race panned out. But he was also travelling very well in the Galway hurdle over the summer when he missed the third last, and he stayed very well. So he just appears to be maturing physically and getting a bit stronger, and is getting pretty fit. I suspect we'll end up back in the flat with him over the summer, but it will not surprise me one bit if he wins one of these big pot handicap hurdles between here or Punchestown or somewhere else over the coming months. I think we'll see what the handicapper does with him when the weights come up, but I think he'll run a big race in the county on the Friday.
Okay, lovely stuff. Well, you've got plenty of other entries as well, but we don't want to keep you too long, Joe. So I think the most animated you were there was Sharjah in the Arkle. Is that because you think he's the best price at the moment, or almost like the pressure's off with him and the rest are more nervous?
Pressure's off and he's a wild price.
Yeah.
But no, Lossiemouth is the one. If you're probably more nervous, you'd be a little bit giddy watching Sharjah, but you'd be pretty nervous just thinking about Lossiemouth, because she's by a long way our best chance of the winner, and you just want her to get there in one piece over the next 2.5 weeks. Is it 3 weeks tomorrow? Is it? So she you just want her to stay sound. Everything has gone really, really well all season with her, and we just need that to continue for a little bit longer and see where we end up.
Lovely stuff. Well, at least rather than last year. You didn't, you had to wait till Friday for Lossiemouth, so we'll get it out the way a bit earlier this week. So this year. So,
better or worse.
Best of luck, Joe, and hopefully you Lossiemouth dots up, and obviously you have a few others in the mix as well. Thanks for joining us.
Not at all. Take care. Cheers.
There we go. Thanks to Joe Chambers. Also, don't forget to check out that free access event on the Racing Post app, where you get exclusive access to members club stuff. And Joe Chambers also, just a couple of other things to mention we didn't get a chance to properly talk about. He said Mercury's probably likely to go for one of the novices as well, and Joystick in the bumper, who disappointed at Leopardstown, but we'll probably go back to Cheltenham to have another go as well. Let's introduce our panel for the evening again with Paul Kealy declining to join me in the studio again. I don't know, was it something I said on Friday, mate, or did you have that good a day at Kempton? You've moved abroad.
I wish I had that good a day at Kempton. You don't want to know what happened to me at Kempton. I'll tell you what, I backed unanswered prayers 5 places each way, finished 6th. I took a slightly bigger price about Sam Brown 4 places, he finished 5th.
Yep.
I noticed that Helmwine was in a race of 6 runners that one firm were betting 3 places, so I backed that each way and it finished 4th. And then we had a massive word for one in the bumper, trained by Seamus Mullins. Everyone where we were backed it. It beat all of the fancy runners completely out of sight and got done by a 40-1 shot.
Well, I'm glad I brought it up, but I think
I can't wait for Friday, to be honest, because it just means February is over.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, unanswered prayers was it's a fairly apt one to be back in, given the rest of the year results after that. But Joe Chambers, of course, a man you know well. The Richie's got plenty of chances. He lit up with Sharjah there, because they've only got a couple of entries in the handicaps. Bialystok, I thought, might well have won at Leopardstown. I thought he was interested. Sharjah's in the plate as well. I was going to ask him about the plate, and suddenly, bang! He was excited about the Arkle.
He's always loved Sharjah, and I think they all have. I know Patrick Mullins, thought he was an absolute superstar early in his career, and he has been second in a couple of champion hurdles, isn't he? And if the race cuts up and he get decent ground, who knows?
Yeah, he'll have. It might. I mean, to be fair, it might not cut up, and they might get a rattling good pace, which is what he likes to come off the back of anyway.
Exactly.
Also, Tom Segal, of course, joining us for this evening. Hello, Mr. Segal.
Hi Ross, how you doing?
I'm very well. If you could just move slightly to your left, that'd be absolute.
That's hard to do when you're doing it the other way.
Yeah, it is a bit, is it? Lovely slicked hair. That I've heard you've been. You've gone for your annual run.
Actually, it was a bike ride. I lied.
You lied?
I was thinking, I didn't mean to lie. I just sort of came out as it was being a run, but it was a bike ride.
What do you mean you didn't mean
I
to lie?
My annual bike ride.
What do you mean you didn't mean to lie? What? How did you lie?
Wrong. It came out wrong.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. I mean, I guess we've all done that sometimes. Yeah. You just say something, don't you? And you think I can't go back on it now because I'll look like an idiot, so I'll just continue the pretense. Okay. Fair enough.
Exactly. I think you've done it before, Ross, yourself.
Yeah. Plenty of times. Yeah. Absolutely. Mostly to my family, I think. But Keels didn't particularly enjoy Kempton. I mean, the Rule 4s will have decimated Mark of Gold for you for a start. But just looking back at the weekend, I mean, there's not too many Cheltenham pointers from the weekend, of course, but we still saw some nice sources. Fernie Hollow, of course, he's still unbeaten over obstacles every time he turns up, once every 3 years. Lump Sum, Blow Your Wad, Khalif de Burley, Iron Maximus, all won nice races over the weekend. Who were you most impressed with?
Bottler Secret, Ross. Bottler Secret at Naas for Gavin Cromwell.
Okay.
Thought he was really impressive on his debut. Now, he won't beat Sergino, but I think he might beat the rest. Especially if it was soft ground. I thought he was really impressive, the way he sort of strode away from the last. I thought his jumping got better as the race went on. He was a very good flat horse, rated, I think, 2 from 3 and won a handicap off in the higher 80s, so he's rated in the 90s somewhere. I thought he was really good, and I like the way Gavin Cromwell said afterwards, he probably would go to Cheltenham for the triumph, so I thought he'd run well. Yeah,
it is starting to look like one of those races. I mean, assuming Sergino can still bomb out, he's still only a young horse, isn't he? He's odds on. So, but there's no shortage of horses lining up to take him on, Tom.
No, there's plenty. It'll be a good race. I'm a massive Sergino fan. I think he's the bet of the week, really. But I did like the performance of Bottler Secret. I think he'll be second.
Yeah, okay. Keels, what were you most impressed with, apart from what we've talked apart from all the horses that finished in front of the ones that you backed?
I wouldn't say most impressed with, but I was impressed with just how much Paul Nicholls seems to like Khalif de Burley. I mean, he was saying in a winners enclosure afterwards, this is one of the most exciting horses I've had for a long, long while. Now, he's not going to Cheltenham. He might not even go to Aintree, but it's all about chasing next year with him. And, there were lots of people queuing up to ask him about Caldwell Potter because of how much money they spent on him. And he's obviously not going to Cheltenham either. And his response was, can't we just talk about this horse? Like, you know what I mean? So I think he's, it'd be very, very interesting to see what happens with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that he won it in a very different fashion to that opening win, didn't he? He had to really knuckle down. And
Yes, he did. He's not a 2-mile hurdler, is he?
No.
It's as simple as that. So whatever he does, the old cliche is a bonus. He's won his 3 hurdle races, and it'll be fences and more of a trip next year.
David Stevens, any movers, shakers? Iron Maximus, of course, will have had a bit of an impact in the national market. Any Cheltenham movers or shakers? Fernie Hollow, I guess you had to shorten, but whether he'll turn up or not, I mean, well, we might never see him again. You never know with him.
No, it's just a reminder of how talented he is. And if they do get a clear run with him, you've got the sense, listening to Willie Mullins afterwards, more likely to be kind of punches down, Aintree. But he's an 8-to-1 shot, non-runner money back for the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Be great to see him there, but as I say, I don't think the trainer was that keen. Bottler Secret that Tom mentioned, a 16-to-1 shot for the Triumph Hurdle. And just going back to Saturday, it was great to see Anthony Honeyball. He had 3 in the Coral Trophy, and it was great to see him win it. Although if you're on Our Dancer, you probably felt a bit mugged by forward planning finish like that. But yeah, good day in its own right. And Kill said about Khalif de Burley, it isn't all about Cheltenham, particularly once we get this close to the festival.
No, fair enough. Albeit, I think, I know I did. I think you did as well, Tom. I think, never mind Al Dancer being mugged. You back forward plan at Doncaster. I've watched that replay back 3 times. I still don't know how he doesn't win.
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky that day. Just shows you, doesn't it? He was really desperately unlucky. I mean, he got hampered badly at the second last as well. I mean, no one really noticed that, but he was desperately unlucky not to win that day. But there we go. That's the way it goes, isn't it?
It is indeed. Right, let's crack on then with the 4 races we're going to look at ahead of Cheltenham. Starting off with just this little dance. This is the little Willie Mullins Novice Hurdle dance that we're going to do ahead of the
dancing style. Is that your dance? Did your wife like that, or your fiance like that dancing? Did she?
Yeah. We've practiced. This is what we're going to do. First dance.
Is it?
Yeah. To Black Sabbath. That's what we're going with.
Still waiting for our invites, aren't we, boys?
Yeah. Still waiting for your invite. Yeah. Do you, even if we dance like this, you still going to come?
Well, I haven't got an invite, Ross, so no.
No, don't worry. Some people will drop out. We'll get down to you eventually. But Ballyburn is 4-5. Slade Steel 3-1. Mystical Power 7-2. Il Atlantique at 4-1. Reading Tommy Wrong at 13-2 and 10-1. Billericay Dicky at Brighter Days Ahead and Gidley Park. Obviously, again, let's assume that the horses. In fact, we'll do 2 previews here of this race, Tom. We'll do the assumption that Ballyburn runs in this race and most of the others come up against him, and then we'll do the without Ballyburn preview, because they're 2 very different races, they're 2 very different markets, but I don't want to spend 10 minutes trying to work out who's going to go where. So if these horses come here, should Ballyburn be 4-5?
Yeah, I think he will come here, and I think he will win. Yeah.
Okay. Do you, because the market's gone the other way. Obviously, everyone goes Ballyburn will go to the Supreme. Is his biggest danger going to be Slade Steel again, or I mean, obviously there's 1, 2, 3, 4 other Willie Mullins horses in the market just behind him as well. Slade Steel's continuously shortened up. It's a race that obviously connections have won in the past as well. Is he the biggest danger?
I don't think so. I think Ballyburn's battered him twice, hasn't he, in a bumper and last time. I would have thought one of the other Willie Mullins ones will probably be the biggest danger. Which one, I have no idea. I thought Il Antique, the way he talked about Il Antique before the Laurels of Naas was that he thought he was going to be his number 1 for this race at that stage. He called the Laurels of Naas the best novice hurdle run this season after it. And I think he thinks Il Antique was very short and very well back that day. So I expect him to run here. I expect him to run well. But I think Ballyburn's different class, and I think he'll run here. And I don't really think. I mean, all the others are much of a muchness, aren't they? I mean, Gidley Park. I really like Gidley Park as a horse, but he's not going to beat the Irish. He's got a much better chance than the Albert Bartlett, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Billericay Dickey was very impressive. I can't believe he'll turn up on the back of one run. Reading Tommy Ron's probably going to go for the Albert Bartlett. So I think it's all about Ballyburn. I think he'll run here and I think he'll win. And if he doesn't, I think Il Antique will win.
Yeah. Il Atlantique shaped like a Baring Bingham horse, didn't he, Keels, last time out? He got outstayed by Reading Tommy Ron, but not completely outstayed. You know, he jumped, he travelled, he battled back with Reading Tommy Ron, who, pulled out plenty. But Il Atlantique has that cruising speed.
Well, did he battle back or did he wait? I mean, he's beginning to chalk up the getting beat at short odds in running stats, isn't he?
Yeah, that is true.
The first time he's been done at a very short price and looked like all over the winner. So I'd be worried a little bit about him. The funny thing about this race, you say I don't want to talk about whether he runs or not, but I mean, Ballyburn is a shorter price with the firms who are going non-runner, no bet for the Baring Bingham than he is for the Supreme. But with the firms not going non-runner, no bet, he's a bigger price for the Baring Bingham than he is for the Supreme. So, I mean, it just goes to show nobody has a faintest idea what's going to happen, do they?
No.
I actually thought that he would be stronger in the Baring Bingham without Ballyburn than he would be in the Supreme without Ballyburn. Sorry, that might be the other way around.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's genuinely, it's starting to pickle my brain. It's starting to pickle my brain. I'm trying to, like, when we start to talk about it, I am quite frankly sick of the words Bally and Burn by this point.
Your head hurts, doesn't it? Like, you know what I mean? But when we talk about Slade Steele, he's 3-1. If Ballyburn runs in the Baring Bingham, he's not going to run. He's going to go in the Supreme. I mean, Henry Bromwell's pretty much said, I'm not keen to take him on again. So whatever happens, I mean, they're all going to be there at 9:59, aren't they?
Yeah.
On Sunday, seeing what happens.
Yeah.
You know, because you're only allowed to declare once. You can't declare once and be a non-runner.
No.
You know what I mean? You've got to wait and see. Not so sure about Billericay Dickey, Tom. There seems to have been a lot of money for him lately. He's gone pretty short with everybody, and he must be showing something. Somebody's backing him anyway, because he was a much bigger price just a couple of weeks ago than he is now. Others are like Captain Teague. I was down at Paul Nicholls today. He's leaning towards the Albert Bartlett. I'd imagine he'll be pushed right over to it if Ballyburn rang here. I think of those outside the ones at the top. Now, you've got to remember, several of those at the top are not one way or the other, aren't they? So if you want to look at bigger prices, I don't know whether he's going to run, but Jinko Blue absolutely destroyed a horse called Titan Discovery at Sandown last time, and Titan Discovery's come out and won very easily since, and he'd also won very easily before then. And I think he might just be one that's a little bit under the radar for Nicky Anderson.
Okay. Keels, I think he is going to run. I heard that from a very good source the other day that he was going to run. I think the other one, very similar name.
Yeah, again, that's another thing. It says pickling my
Blue,
it's pickling my brain.
The Kelso or the Supreme, that one's too keen, so they want to drop that one down to 2 miles, even though it ran in the race at Huntingdon. I think they're almost certain to run that one you mentioned in this race, and I agree with you. He was mightily impressive at Sandown.
I think he's potentially a very decent horse. I think they're just sort of finding out about him. I think he had his hold-ups, didn't he? And he's just sort of to himself. And I'm not saying he beat Ballyburn. I don't think he would. But when you look at the ones that are going to come out, you can get 20-1 each way. If he is going to run, I think that's not going to be a bad price. I doubt he'll be that price.
Okay. I'm trying to work out what we said. So Ballyburn, Slade Steele, Billericay Dickey, Jinko Blue, Django Bay. They're all. I mean, I'm starting to think these have just been randomly generated, these names. But
good name, though, Billericay Dickey, isn't it? I'd like Billericay Dickey to win. What a good name.
I assumed he must be named after some, I don't know, Essex Chancer or something. That maybe there's someone.
The Jury and the Blockheads. Do you remember them?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
He sang a song about Billericay Dickey.
Right. Okay. So I assume that whoever rides him will be hitting him with a rhythm stick. Is that right?
That's very good, Ross. Well done.
Other horses to mention, we should probably throw handstands. You talked about Ben Pauling, Tom. I mean, he's got several runners at Cheltenham, of course. This horse just keeps on winning, and he's got a good record in this race.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Not only did he win it with Willoughby Court, he also had the third. Bright Forecast was very unlucky. We talked about him the other week. He was unlucky in the City Island year.
Yep.
City Island year. I think that's right. Yeah. Handstands was really impressive. I don't think he works that well. I mean, I read a report from Harry Cobden went to ride him and tell her the name, and he got off and said that tell her name's the good horse. The other one's, he's all right. Yeah. And then he got on him at Huntingdon, and he was a totally different horse, and he was really impressive. He beat a good horse. That's the one we were talking about. Django Blue. I can't remember the other one. JB of Nicky Henderson's that isn't the one Keels mentioned.
Yeah. Which I forgot. To be fair, I forgot which one it is. The one that goes to the Premier at Kelso, probably.
That one. Yeah.
Okay.
And he beat him in he beat him doing handstands. See what I did there? That's like, can I get your job?
Absolutely. But you do have to leave the house, like I said to you. So you'll have to get on your bike, Tom.
I'll leave that.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I've just got a few other things to throw at you as well. One British winner in the past 10 years as well, and only 7 have placed in the last 10 years as well. So, it's going to be a big Irish field, or at least a big Mullins field anyway. Only 2 winners in the past 15 years who hadn't won over at least 2 mile 3, and one of those was Sir Gerhard, and it was a slightly strange race, wasn't it? So, I think you need a cruising speed, Keels, but I don't want to be chancing anything to see if they stay in this kind of event.
No, but I think haven't we got? I don't. Most of the main contenders already shown that.
Well, Mystical Power, I think, is the only one with that.
Yeah, well, I think Mystical Power. I mean, Mystical Power is very keen. I mean, this is why I sort of half thought that Ballyburn would end up here, because yes, he's out of any power, and he should stay. She nearly won a Stayers Hurdle, but he's incredibly keen. He's certainly bred to get the trip, though, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. David Stevens, the Baring Bingham, Ballyburn, Slade Steele, Brighter Days Ahead, Billericay Dickey, 2 Nicky Henderson, horses in the same ownership with practically the same name. Ben Pauling throwing one in here as well. Pick the bones out of that, my good man.
Yeah, I'm a handstands fan. Django Bay was the horse he beat at Huntingdon, which runs in the same colours as Jinko Bay. No, the other way around, isn't it? Django Bay. I'll forget it.
See? You thought you were so clever, didn't you? You thought you got it all figured out then.
Django Bay was the horse handstands beat. Same ownership as Jinko Blue. There we go. I don't know what's running where.
Yeah.
I like handstands. Your stat on British runners in the last 10 years is somewhat tempered my enthusiasm, but still around the 10-1 shot. And Kills, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're non-runner money back on all these races now, and Ballyburn is 4-5 for this race, 5-4 the Supreme. Don't know where he's going, but handstands it looks like is coming here, so he'll do for me.
Okay, fair enough. Shout out to Ryan Watmo on Twitter as well. He said, bit of an outside angle, almost certainly won't happen, which is, I love the ones that start with that. I genuinely do. But if Ballyburn goes Supreme, wouldn't Brighter Days Ahead not be far off favourite if they went for the Baring Bingham getting £7, you'd have a massive chance. I mean, yeah, maybe, yeah, but I've got a headache going for this. No doubt only 6 will turn up as well in this race, and most of the things we've said will be pointless. Dunners is a big fan of Ben Pauling, Beat the Beats and Jigaro for Sharp Fitness Look at 50s and 66. Tom Leach is on Ballyburn at 7-2 for the Bingham. And Mark Smith, anyone think handstands will go well in the Baring Bingham? He's unbeaten and I like him a lot.
Ross, can I just butt in? I forgot to mention Predator's Gold. I thought he ran a really very good race. He put too keen, wasn't he, in the Irish race over 2 mile 6? He's definitely going to run in this race.
Yeah.
I think there's much more to from him.
That's a fair point. Yeah, he did. I mean, it was a bit of a stop-start gallop. You know, he was just done for toe and experience, I thought. So yeah, he could be interesting. Right. So what's our opinion in this? Ballyburn wins.
Well, if he runs, he'll win. Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, fair enough. It's not convinced me to have a bet in the race because I'm more confused than ever beforehand. So, but never mind. And don't forget though, if Peter Piper picks a pickled peppers or something, I don't know. Ballyburn's 4-5 though for the Baring Bingham Novices Hurdle. Moving on to the next race, we're going to preview of the evening, which is the Turners Novices Chase over 2.5 miles, of course. Just one of about 8 or 9 races a novice chaser could go to, including the handicaps at Cheltenham. So again, we could see a small field here. Factor File is 6-4, Ginny's Destiny 5-2, Grey Dawning 5-2, Gaelic Warrior 5s, Facile Vega 5s, Iroko 5s, 7-1 Ilate Tom, 8-1 Founder 50, and bigger prices the rest. What is it, Keels? 5-6, each of 2 that half the runners on screen don't turn up?
No. I think it is apparently long odds on now that Factor File doesn't turn up, and I'd hope so as well, because if he does turn up, then if you backed any other horse whatsoever on a non-run and no bet basis, you've got a terrible price, haven't you? Because all bookmakers are betting to well over 200% on races like this now, for the obvious reason that horses are going to come out. But if Factor File runs and you back something else, you've got a rubbish price, because everything else is going to be bigger. And in fairness, he probably will be shorter than 6-4 himself if he turns up. But no, he by all accounts he's going to the Brown Advisory, which leaves Ginny's Destiny and Grey Dawning joint favs. Grey Dawn is in the Brown Advisory, but you can't see Dan Skelton going anywhere other than here if Factor File goes there, because he knows that he'll be borderline favourite for this race. A lot of people think he would have beaten Ginny's Destiny a couple of starts ago when he made a horrible mistake at the second last and nearly caught him and was given £3. So I think he'll end up favourite. I actually think Facile Vega will come here as well. He's been crying out for a step up in trip. We know he's by Vega, who's pardon me, won half a dozen 2.5 mile races round here and 3 over 3 mile at Punchestown. And I think he's going to split up his Arkle horses there. So yeah, it's still going to be quite competitive without Factor File. I do think Grey Dawn is going to end up being the one to beat and end up being favourite. It'll annoy a lot of people who backed him for the Brown Advisory, I know, but you wouldn't blame Dan Skelton for coming back in trip.
No. A couple of things there. Andrew Shepherd on Twitter said Facile Vega's an absolute cert in the Turners on soft ground, brings a lot of class to the race, in which, let's be honest, there isn't a lot of class. Iroko will become a good chaser, but his injury has set him back, so big opinion there from Andrew. Grey Dawning, I saw a video from Dan Skelton the other day, Tom, saying that he is almost certainly going to go for the Albert Bartlett unless it's definitely not 100% confirmed, but that's the race they're leaning towards.
The Albert Bartlett, Ross.
Oh, sorry, yes, of course, yes.
The Brown Advisory.
The Brown Advisory, yeah. I mean, that'd be a twist, wouldn't it? We talk about what race they're going to go for. Yeah, we're dropping back over hurdles just to mix it up for a novice who can't even run in. Yeah, again, it's pickle brain time. So, well, I mean, look, you were saying the other day, Tom, about what price Ginny's Destiny might be on the day, for example. But there's a possibility that Ginny's Destiny, Gaelic Warrior, Iroko, and is that it? Is it possible that those three turn up and nothing else does?
I think Gaelic Warrior, Facile Vega will probably turn up in here, and if they do, I think they'll be favourite. I disagree with Keels. I think one of the Irish will be favourite because that's the way punters think these days. I think Ginny's Destiny will be a much bigger price than 5-2. I think Grey Dawning will be. That's the problem with non-run and no bet. It's not only I do not know who's going to run. You're getting a rubbish price as well, because I think without even Factor File in there, those two British horses are too short, way too short. I think you'll get 4-1 on the pair of them on the day. So you're asking to take 5-2 now about horses that are just rubbish prices. That's why I hate non-run and no bet. Look at Iroko. We've seen him once over fences at Warwick. He won a Martin Pipe off marking the 130s. You're asked to take 5-1.
Yeah. I mean, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because he
should be 14-1, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, again, but you're right, because and the problem here is even if you get 6 or 7 runners, I guess, I was going to say the advantage of no-run, no bet is if you put in together some anti-post, each way, doubles, trebles, fourfolds, but you probably get 3 places on the day anyway, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, Iroko's an interesting one, though, because obviously he, the form was frank this weekend, wasn't it, with Golden Sun, Kilbeg King, Get a Tonic, have all done the form proud, and he didn't come out of first gear, and obviously he wasn't supposed to be making it to Cheltenham. Now he might make it to Cheltenham. Handicaps traditionally at Cheltenham over the past few years have been great future pointers to Grade 1 horses, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. But you got to go on form, hasn't it? Haven't you? I mean, he beat No Ordinary Joe, didn't he? Which is very decent form, not bad form at all. Won a Cheltenham race, very good. Like it, Rocco, a lot. Thought he jumped really well at Warwick. But I can't back him at 5-1 after one run when he's been injured all season, over fences against horses that are rated £30 higher than him over hurdles, or were rated £25 higher than him over hurdles. You know what I mean? It just goes against my modus operandi. I think more. In fact, when Factor File comes out, which he is coming out, according to all the things, I think a lot more will run in this. I think there'll be more. So I think people will think they've got a chance. That's why Grey Dawning will run here. That's why Facile Vega will run here. That's why Gaelic Warrior will run here. Rocco. load more. Gordon Elliott will throw a few in, and I think there'll be 10 or 12 runners. And I think you're just asking us to take rubbish prices now. I think, betting to 200%. I mean, it's pointless. It's pointless for anyone having a bet in the race at all. I think, because I think nearly all of those horses there will be. Well, if Gaelic Warrior was to turn up, I think he'd be 7-4 probably, even after last run, because I think he's got such a high profile as a horse. I personally wouldn't want to back him. But I think he'll be...
So out of all these horses then, Tom, assuming Factor File doesn't run, let's assume all the others do turn up then. Who's got the best profile for this race?
Well, I think Gaelic Warrior is the best horse by a country mile. I think he's £20 better than the two English horses. Probably a little bit better than Facile Vega too. I would be, obviously, like everyone else, I'd be concerned about him jumping right-handed. But he's twice been to Cheltenham and he's twice run cracking races. He won a Leopardstown 2-mile hurdle going left-handed by 7-8 lengths. He will jump out to his right. He will lose ground, but I think he's just miles better than them. And if he's back, and there were vibes that there was something up with him before, it just didn't seem right. His performance on Dublin race. If they get him back, and Willie Mullins has done it loads of times, I think he'd be far too good for them. Okay.
And Keels, what was your opinion again? Did you have an opinion of this?
I quite liked early on the angle of Grey Dawning changing and coming here, but as Tom said, he's become a lot shorter. I do think Facile Vega will have a massive chance if he goes up in trip. He's obviously won a bumper here. He's finished second to Marine National, turned around his form at Leopardstown, didn't he? With the L'Eté Temp that year. I like Grey Dawning. I'd still just about like him. But let's not rule out Ginny's Destiny, because people keep saying he shouldn't have won this race, he shouldn't have won that race because so-and-so made a mistake. But he don't make the mistakes, does he? And he goes from the front and he jumps extremely, extremely well. And again, Paul Nicholls was quite bullish. If there was a horse he was bullish about him, he said, I think he's better than Stage Star was at this time last year. And obviously he won the race.
Yeah, and he's a big strapping lad. What's that?
I said, I don't know at the end of the day.
Yeah, fair enough. He's a big strapping lad, isn't he, Ginny's Destiny? It's obviously taken him a little bit of time to sort of come to himself. But, you could say Theatre Man might have won last time out if he got a run earlier, and Grey Dawning if he not made a mistake. But it's just the perfect Cheltenham profile, isn't it? Loves the track. He's getting better and better. He's about the right age to peak. He comes into it off a career best. He's got the right run style as well. And you might have said, he's only won handicaps, but then you would have said the same last year, wouldn't you?
There was a certain... he forced his mistakes into other horses, doesn't he? Because he doesn't miss a... and that's what happens at Cheltenham, isn't it? You get into the rhythm and you knock other horses out of theirs, and he seems to be very good at that.
Yeah.
It's all about price at the end of the day, though, isn't it, Ross and Keels? You Keels know that better than me. Stage Star was 12-1.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's 200. It's 200%. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, there's no real point. You can make a selection, but let's all say at the same time, well, it's 2 weeks away now. Just hang on.
Yeah.
Find out what lines up, because the chances are, with or without Factor File in the race, you're probably getting a bad price at the moment, at least about some of them.
So, Keels, you were at the Nicholls Media Day today. He didn't say, Ginny's Destiny's a certainty, should be 64 or anything like that.
I wouldn't tell you like that, would I? I want to do all that myself. Listen, he's the most open man in the whole world, isn't he, Paul Nicholls? He told everybody exactly what he thought. He's confident he's got some really, really serious chances, but he isn't confident that he isn't 100% confident that he's got a winner, but he knows that he's going there with plenty who are in really, really good nick. And I'd like to be able to tell you that I saw all the horses and they looked brilliant and all that, but I couldn't tell one end of the horse from another, to be honest, if I'm close up. But I mean, he is very confident that the horses he's got there going are really, really well, and he's hoping for the best, like everybody else.
David Stevens, any comeback on the bushy back, the bushy back, the bushy back, the bushy backing that was just going on there. Your chance to stand up for your employers now, David.
Well, no, I know. I think the chaps make a very valid point. You're getting this close to it. You are, on the whole, you are now just better off waiting until the festival. The terms on the day will better. I mean, taking price out of it for the purposes of this, I think this is one race, as I said at the start, the Brits do have the upper hand in. I think the bubbles burst a bit on Facile Vega, Gaelic Warrior. Tom, I know this is a big thing of yours. You find it hard to forgive horses a bad run. I mean, his last run was an absolute shocker, wasn't it? So, I mean, you're right. Of course, Willie Mullins could get him back. But for the purposes of this, I'd have to ignore Gaelic Warrior. Grey Dawning's, I think, is rated £6 higher on official rating than Ginny's Destiny. But RPRs only have £1 between them. I like the Paul Nicholls horse. It just keeps winning. Similar sort of profile to Stage Star. And I also like Iroko. I totally get at the current price. I couldn't back it, but on the day, this has been his only entry for a while now. Golden Sun, as you mentioned, Ross Frank the form at the weekend. He's a Cheltenham Festival winner. So I think the Brits have a strong hand here, and I like Ginny's Destiny. I like Iroko. I obviously, Grey Dawn has got an obvious chance as well. I don't like the two Willie Mullins pair, Facile Vega and Gaelic Warrior.
Okay. Ginny's Destiny is actually £2 superior to Grey Dawning because because they haven't updated it. He's gone up to 155 now. So I think just picking up what you said there. But okay. Yeah, again, plenty of opinions. Grey Dawning's a poor jumper, says George Lozano Lima. Thanks for joining us. Easily, the best name of the every week. Give a best name of the show, and George, you've just won tonight. And Dawning too slow for a turner, says the bookies foe. So that's two people against Grey Dawning for sure. Right, two more races. Let's move on to the Mayor's Chase, shall we? Which is on Friday, of course. Before we step back in time for the Gold Cup. Dino Blue 10-11, Allegory of Asti 7-2, Limerick Lace 9-2, Bridetail 8, Riviere de Tel 10-1, Fantastic Lady 14's a bigger price as the rest. Finally, a race where we're pretty sure that at least 3 of the 4 single figures are going to turn up here at Keels. Dino Blue is 10-11, stepping up in trip. Now, we don't know that she stays. She should do on breeding, though. She's a class act at this race.
Absolutely, yeah. Dam's a half sister to a Grand National runner-up, and so she should stay. She has run over 2 mile 4 furlong once and was well beaten, but it was very, very early in her career, and she's taken her form to an absolute new level this season, isn't she? Beaten only by El Fabiolo, who we know is a superstar 2-miler. Yeah, if she stays, I think she'll win. I don't know whether she will stay. It's not my sort of bet. I can't say I pay much attention to the mares' races anyway, so I won't be having a bet in it. But I think she's comfortably the most likely winner.
Okay, Tom, the one who will definitely stay and comes into this in cracking form. She's 7 years old. She's owned by JP. She's in fantastic form. She stays even further. I mean, she only got outstayed by Coco Beach at Navan. Is Limerick Lace, who almost looks one of those filthy each ways at 9-2.
I like her. I think she can win, Ross. It's just about Dino Blue obviously got the best form, but I don't know. I think those 2 mile races in Ireland this year have been like absolutely rubbish. You know what I mean? I mean, it's she's beating through the same horses every time, isn't she? I mean, what's the same Wire and the other one, Gentleman de May, and all those types. Well, it's just not worth anything. Now, she was a lot better behind El Fabiolo, of course she was, and Willie Mullins has been very bullish about her in the run up to the race. But I don't know. I think these races are all about jumping and rhythm and everything. Limerick Lace is in front of her, coming down the straight. I don't think she'll get past her at all. I like Limerick Lace a lot. I think she's a very strong stayer, a good jumper. I was really impressed with her over 3 miles behind Coco Beach. I think that was a little step too far for her that day. She absolutely won doing handstands at Doncaster despite bulldozing the second last. I think she's got a very good chance of turning over the favourite.
Okay, yeah, 9-2 Limerick Lace. Allegory of Asti 7-2, of course. The other Cromwell runner as well is Bride's Hill, who's on a hat trick as well. Battered Le Renommée almost as far as Limerick Lace did. Oh my word! Okay, tongue tied. Bride's Hill, Keels, any chance?
Yeah, some sort of chance, I suppose. Like, it obviously keeps winning. For a start, so yeah, you can't knock her. 3 out of 3 this season. Gavin Cromwell's got an amazing record at Cheltenham as well, hasn't he? Not just at the festival, but at Cheltenham overall. I just think Dino Blue is different class.
Okay. David Stevens, Dino Blue, 10 to 11. She maybe should have won last year at the festival. She ploughed through half of the fences and still went down fighting. Up in trip, 10 to 11. Again, I think people are going to be split of, someone just on the chat just said, banker of the week, and then other people can't back a horse with this profile at odds on.
No, it's very similar to Lossiemouth in the Mayor's Hurdle, and she's just never gone this trip. And whilst she's got a bit of class and she may well get it, she hasn't done it, and all her leading rivals have. And I like the Gavin Cromwell pair, as you say, both closely, not a lot between them on the beating of La Renommée. And at the prices, I'd take them on rather than an odds-on shot that has got to prove she's going to get up the hill after 2.5 miles.
Okay, Dino Blue then 10 to 11.
Just another point, Ross. Doesn't she have a penalty as well?
She does have a penalty, yeah.
Given weight. Does have to give them £5, I think, doesn't she? If I remember rightly. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure though that penalties are actually almost a good thing in this race, isn't it? I think class has come to the fore more than weight. Cole Reevy carried 11.7. What did Impervious?
I'd rather not have one, Ross.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you get one because you're a class act, don't you?
Yeah, but it's still she's got to give them £5, hasn't she? I don't know. I wouldn't be lumping on at 10 to 11, that's for sure.
Okay, fair enough. Right, the Cheltenham Gold Cup then. Let's have a chat about that because we're going to have another debate over the short price favourites here in the shape of defending champ Galopin Des Champs is even money up against the only horse that's beaten fair and square over fences. That's Fast or Slow at 5 to 1. Shishkin is 6s, Jerry Colombe 8 to 1, On Presse 12s, Brave Man's Game 16s with Gentleman's Game. Korak Rambler is 20 to 1 bigger the rest. Let's have a look who tweeted me earlier. Ed Johnson. What's the guy's thoughts on Shishkin in the Gold Cup? The type who could pull up or win with nothing in between, but at that price worth a go. Talent alone, he's the only horse similar to GDC in my opinion. The favourite won pretty tastily last year, Tom, in spite of a few jumping errors and maybe not getting the best trip round. And he's a funny one, isn't he? Because obviously he's been beaten by Fast or Slow a couple of times over at Punchestown, but send him everywhere else and he looks like a monster.
Yeah, look at those prices though there, Ross. Fast or Slow, beaten him twice. Shishkin never run against him. Jerry Colombe was wrong last time, got good Cheltenham form. Long Press is a former Brown Advisory winner. Gentleman's Game has run 3 times over fences and beaten an Irish national winner, a Ryanair winner, and a King George winner. Korak Rambler's a national winner that's won twice at the festival. I think this is just an absolute cracking race. The race of the festival, the race of many festivals. All the right horses are there, provided they all turn up. And I wouldn't back him at even money because of that. Simple as that. I get the argument he's the best horse. I get the argument he's looked better this year than he was last year. But I think there's 7 horses there that are better. Or Brave Man's Game, I think. I don't know. I can't really see him winning. Although Paul Nicholls thinks I'm nuts for saying that. I just can't see him staying well enough to win. But I think the other 6 you mentioned there are all strong stayers. They'll all run up the hill. And I think it's a much more open race than the market says. Which one I will back on the day, I'm not too sure because I can't really make up my mind. I keep changing from Gentleman's Game to Long Press to Fast or Slow to Shishkin. And I'm even started thinking this afternoon when I was on my bike ride, it wasn't a run, Jerry Colombe might run well as well. But I just don't think that was the form he got there. So while everyone can say he's the best horse, best staying chaser in training, all this sort of stuff, it's still a Gold Cup. He's still got to jump 20 odd fences or whatever. He's still got to get up the hill, and there's 6 horses there that have got the potential to give him a race. So I don't want to take even money. What I would back, I don't know, but I think it's an absolute cracker. The race of the season, the race of many seasons. I
mean, this is the race we've been waiting for Shishkin to get up to this trip and running this race for a long time, haven't we? Jerry Colombe obviously was the novice last year we thought could make into a Gold Cup course. I mean, you're right. I mean, Fast or Slow, I mean, I do really, I'm more and more each year, Tom, becoming a track convert. Fast or Slow, I think will get beaten here and then go and beat Galopin at Punchestown again. And we can go into the physiology and run styles and how the tracks ride, but I think the facts say that Fast or Slow is fantastic at Punchestown and slightly not quite as good elsewhere.
I wouldn't be sure about that. I wouldn't be so sure, Ross. I mean, I know he's got beaten twice here and he got beaten in the Ultimate. But I don't know. I'm a Martin Brazel super fan. I think he's going to have him cherry right. I don't think he would have had him spot on for Leopardstown last time. I think he's going to be a lot better here than he was there. I think he'll get a lot closer, but you might be right. He might not quite stay.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him running an absolute blinder here and finishing in the frame and then reversing the form at Punchestown. But yeah, that's a good point, Keels, though, that Tom makes. I mean, Martin Brierley, he's a target trainer and he gets the horses ready. Is there a possibility that they thought, let Galopin Des Champs get on with it, burn himself out at Leopardstown, and we'll pick his pocket at Cheltenham?
I mean, you could say that he could have been given a harder ride at Leopardstown, definitely. But I think, they're both looking at working on something to build on from. I mean, this is what happens. There might be Grade 1 races, but when they're before the festival, there's always something to build on for the big one, isn't there? I mean, I think what Galopin Des Champs showed last year in what was a very, very good, well, I think was a very good Gold Cup. He is a superior Gold Cup winner. He's definitely the one to beat. It doesn't mean he won't get beat, but if he runs to his absolute best, the form of last year's Gold Cup, the form of his Savills win, then something is going to have to improve an awful lot to beat him. I think he'd probably win. I actually want him to win because you like to see a really, really, really top class horse, and I think for instance, he's definitely a better horse than Albin Photo, who's won 2 Gold Cups. I think he's a really decent horse. When it comes to having a bet, would I back him? It's not me. The last time, it's somebody, I don't know whether it was Jockey Club Racecourses or Cheltenham who put up videos of short price defeats, and it got me back to a very painful moment in my life when the last short price bet I had was on size in Europe in a Champion Chase, and he got beat by Finion's Rainbow, and I've never smashed in at short since, and I just don't do it. I don't do it at Cheltenham. I don't really do it anywhere else. So come the day, I'll have a small bet on something, and I do disagree with Tom about Brave Man's Game staying. I mean, if you took Galopin Des Champs out of the way, he's a 6.5 length runner, 6.5 length winner of a Gold Cup. He just ran into an exceptional horse, and his form is actually better than a lot of the horses above him in the betting, especially Jerry Colombe, who's pretty much run to form last time, really. I mean, you can say what you like about him. None of his form was that good. He's got to step up. Shishkin has made bad mistakes the last 2 times he's run at Cheltenham. Couldn't beat Envoy Allen in the Ryanair last year, and if he jumped like he did in the Ryanair last year, he's got no chance, irrespective of the trip, has he? And Brave Man's Game may have been beaten by him in the King George, but he wouldn't have been beat very far, would he? And he's 6-1, and Brave Man's Game is 16-1. So I certainly wouldn't put people off backing him each way. Paul Nicholls was saying he thinks he cocked him up earlier in the season, and he's a better horse now than he was then. That remains to be seen, of course, but he's still a very, very good horse.
Can I butt in? I agree with most what Keel says, but I don't agree with him that it was a great Gold Cup last year. I really don't.
No, I mean, I was going to say,
Noble Yates with 4. I just thought it was a rubbish Gold Cup. Bar the 2. The 2 are very good horses, but I thought bar those 2, it sort of fell apart. There was a lot of mistakes. There was, the horse fell and brought another one down. A Hoy Senor brought. I just thought it fell apart, completely fell apart, the race. So that's why I think the pair of them. The 6 others.
2 horses still tanking going to 3 out, and it was those 2.
Yeah, well, they should have been, shouldn't they? They were miles better than the rest of the horses in there, conflated.
And they pulled well away at the end as well.
I mean, you're right. I mean, so you look back at it. Aplutard was 4-1 and ran no sort of race and never has done since. Manella Indo and Statler are now cross-country horses. Hewitt might have had a squeak, but he fell, and obviously we know he's a good horse, but he didn't get a chance to show it.
The thing about that is you will find out about every single Gold Cup. I guarantee you now that horses finished 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th in this year's Gold Cup will be rubbish in comparison to what they are.
Yeah, and it's hard, isn't it? Because at this level, Keels, I mean, you could say, you look at Jerry Colombe's form, and you're right, he's beat Diddley Squat, and he got beat by the Real Whacker last year. But the problem is there's an upper level of Gold Cup-esque horses. And you kind of have to be good to get there, and then if you don't win this race, you almost get broken. It's almost like a last horse standing kind of thing. So when you go, nothing ran to form, that's kind of the race, isn't it?
I don't necessarily buy to get broken, but if you get beat in a Gold Cup, invariably you're running into another bunch of young horses coming up, and it is it is very much a second season chaser sort of race, isn't it? Now we know Galopin isn't a second season chaser, fast or slow. in essence is, because he ran once ages ago in France before last year. Jerry Colombe is, but his form isn't up to it. But horses that tend to have run in it before, they weren't good enough the first year. More often than not, they're not good enough the second year. But obviously, Appaloosa broke that one, and it can happen. Native River did exactly the same. So it all depends on what's coming up. Now, what have we seen coming up from the novice ranks last season? I suggest nothing.
Yeah. Fair enough. David Stevens, the Cheltenham Gold Cup then, Galloping des Champs, even money, a shocking price, or a certainty against horses who've all shown they're inferior to him?
I mean, still a couple of unknowns. What are we, 2 and a bit weeks to go? The ground is going to be one, for example. Yeah, we had such a wet spring. If it's any way soft, this is 3 1/4 miles. Absolutely needs getting. Very few of these have got form over. That kind of, and that extra 2 furlongs up that Cheltenham Hill is something different again. And Galloping des Champs has been there and done it. He's clearly back in form, 2 good wins. He's undoubtedly, whether you think even money's a bad price, wrong price, he's quite clearly the one to beat. And I think probably will go and win. I say won it 7 lengths last year, 4 lengths this year. What are we, 5-2 about that? I love Fast or Slow, but I just think Punchestown or other tracks is where he has his advantage over Galloping des Champs. Not here. Shishkin, I just can't have. We just don't even know if he's going to get off for a start. I don't think he jumped around Cheltenham well enough. Jerry Colombe isn't good enough. L'Empresse I like. He's got course form. There was no disgrace in finishing second to Pic D'Orhy over a trip too short. He's an each-way price. Brave Man's Game just doesn't look the same horse this year. Paul Nicholls could clearly get him back. Gentleman's Game we haven't seen since God knows when. Weatherby, that'd be some training for us. I like Corach Rambler. Again, if it came up testing, we know he's got stamina. And he's run well in Cheltenham, but I just think Galloping des Champs is by far the best horse in the race and by far the most likely winner. And I'm more with Keels and Tom on this. I don't think last year's Gold Cup, certainly beforehand, is quite as bad as it looks now. I think Galloping des Champs probably has the beating of all these once again.
Yeah.
You make a great point there, Dave, about the potential ground thing, the ground aspect. I'm being a complete bore. I was sat in there today looking at 14-day weather forecasts for Cheltenham Festival, and I know that's completely ridiculous, but there was a load of rain. A load of rain still forecast to fall. Now that they can't even get it wrong 2 days in advance, let alone 14.
They don't need a lot more rain, Tom. I've been up and down on trains all week, and every single place I go past is flooded.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the water table is going to be so high there that if they get rain on the day, it will go soft incredibly quickly and really testing really quickly.
Well, it did last year, didn't it? Remember, the stay. I think it rained on before the Thursday, didn't it? And the stayers suddenly turned into a bit of a slog.
Absolutely.
So, and we've had it before the.
I wondered also if at 66-1, Gary Moore might change his mind if it turned into a complete quagmire and run the Welsh national winner. And I don't think that would be the worst each way bet at 66-1 if it was heavy. You get 4 places, he'll stay, he jumps, he's a completely different horse in blinkers.
Well, there's a possibility he goes. There's also a possibility based on what Joe said earlier, if it rains as well, that they might think Monkfish finally has a chance at a Gold Cup.
So Dave makes a very good point there. We're if it could easily turn very soft very quickly, and well, it's probably heavy there now, isn't it? And if they get more rain up until the day, it makes it a totally different race. And while Galloping des Champs has acted on it, I don't think really proper top class horses ever really want heavy ground, and therefore it brings others into it.
Okay, lovely stuff. Right. Yeah, quite excited about this Gold Cup now. That's for sure. Just a quick shout out to various people who asked me if I've been on the brandy before the show. I'm not. I'm just genuinely breaks your brain looking at all the horses who've entered in multiple races, trying to remember who they've beat when they've all got the same names. Not to mention the fact the aircon's broken. I'm wearing a shirt that's about 3 times as thick as it should be in here. But never mind. Everyone's at home with the aircon on. It must be. I mean, it must be warm as well because Tom's took his body warmer off. But anyway, let's have best angles from the races we've talked about. If you can remember what those best angles are, Tom.
Blimey, I can't. What races did we look at? What was the second one we looked at?
We looked at the Baring Bingham, the Turners, the Mares Chase.
Limerick Lace is the one I fancy. She's the one I back.
Lovely. Thanks very much. Keels?
Mate, the aircon has been absolutely useless for about 4 weeks, and you've worn a long sleeve shirt every single week. It's your fault. Don't moan about it. No betting the Turners because the prices are terrible. Can't do anything in the Baring Bingham because we don't know where Ballyburn's going. I think Jinko Blue will go well each way. Mares don't really care all that much. I think Galloping is trying to win the Gold Cup. I think Brave Man's Game may follow him home again.
Thanks, Keels. David?
Ginny's destiny to win the Turners.
Okay, lovely stuff. And my nap is me to forget that the aircon is broken next week. I'll wear a woolly jumper and a hat. But don't forget as well, we're gonna be doing the show live from Cheltenham as well for the entire week, or at least as near as we can get it anyway. Not near enough for Tom to come in, but it is going to be a lot of fun. That's for sure. So if you're in and around the Cheltenham area, you can try and find us like a really bad version of Pokemon Go. But thanks everyone for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're not live on Friday this week, but we are back this time next week where I'll be sweating cobs for sure. See you then.